Welcome to Window Dressing's MTV Summer Series. I'm really excited to bring you this super small series about some of the biggest videos of my childhood. This is the period when music videos were shot and performed like short-form narrative films. They were MTV's MGM spectacles and took on a similar cultural stature. MTV premiered in 1981 with Video Killed the Radio Star as its first official music video. Music television transitioned to reality TV in the mid-90s, with Real World, which is widely considered the mold for today's reality TV. But by the mid-2000s, shows like Making the Band bridged the gap between reality TV and music television. Initially, MTV played music videos as their majority programming, and that mode of operation continued, in theory but not so much in practice, into the 2000s with TRL, that's Total Request Live. But initially, shows like Headbangers Ball, hosted by Riki Rachtman, ruled the airwaves. Headbangers Ball was a metal-themed show that featured the new rock videos of the time. Riki and that particular pop culture phenomenon still have me sleeping in a Cat House shirt. The Cat House is the club Riki started in LA around the same time that the Sunset Strip had been taken over by bands like Guns N' Roses. Riki later hosted Daisy De La Hoya's reality spin-off show, Daisy of Love, in 2009. The interwoven pop culture icons of my childhood still light up what I imagined life would be like as an adult. Unfortunately, the Rainbow Room doesn't serve Slash and Axl every night anymore. Riki cut his hair, and Daisy didn't find love. But the Greyhound bus I boarded at age 14 did eventually get me to the neon lights of LA. This week's episode is about Guns N' Roses and the woman who inspired a trilogy of music videos from the band's 1990 double album, Use Your Illusion. Erin Everly was Axl's girlfriend, Muse, an eventual wife, and then ex-girlfriend. She is half forgotten, or at least conflated with the woman who played her in these videos, Stephanie Seymour. But Erin is a goddess in her own right, and her magic lit up my imagination when I first laid eyes on her, and the rock epic mini movies that she co-created just by existing. November Rain premiered on Headbangers Ball on June 6, 1992. I was 7, going on 8. According to Lore and Eddie Gunn of LA Guns, Axl's former band before Hollywood Rose and LA Guns merged to form the original lineup of Guns N' Roses in 1985, Axl had been working on November Rain since 1983, using every opportunity to play the piano parts when one was present. That detail mirrors the short story, Without You, that the song and video are based on. The author, Del James, was a friend of the band and sourced Axl, his life, and his potential fame for material that manifested destiny in Axl's life and became one of the most iconic music videos of all time. November Rain is the second in a so-called trilogy of videos, starting with Don't Cry and ending with Estranged. Andy Morahan directed all three. Don't Cry and November Rain star Stephanie Seymour, top supermodel of the day and Axl's girlfriend. They met on the set of Don't Cry. Erin and Axl were married in 1990 and then divorced in 1991. Their relationship was tumultuous, even according to Axl, although I think it would be difficult to see her as the abusive one, not just by virtue of her sex, but let's not forget that 95% of domestic abuse victims are women. But he notoriously used bondage-esque footage shot privately of Erin for the music video of It's So Easy off their 1987 album Appetite for Destruction. Footage that was eventually removed from the current versions of the video. Given the period in which Axl began composing November Rain in 1983, when the short story it was based on was written, also in the early 80s, and the result of his relationship with Erin, which ended in divorce shortly before the first video of the trilogy was made, I agree with the assessment that these songs were written about Erin. The title card of the video reads November Rain in Thrasher-style font. A dark blue-hued room surrounds Axl, who is alone in bed with the sound of rain beating and wind howling outside the windows. The bed's unusual placement in front of the windows and its headboard, which is slated, placed against the individual pane windows, looks like a prison. It reminds me of the noir trope of Venetian blinds casting shadows across the room. The feel of the shot is given precedence over the function of the furniture. I am specifically thinking about In a Lonely Place, where the entryway was gated inside, and the windows cast shadows that translated to the femme fatale's wardrobe, which were high-necked, with a multitude of buttons, and felt like a prison of fabric. The way the energy reads on screen captures a similar sense of impending doom. Axl puts his cigarette out on his nightstand, which is littered with pills and booze. The narrative shifts from a lonely rocker self-destructing to a live concert hall performance. Axl sits at a grand piano, his drink, a cigarette, and a lighter lying on the piano while he plays. He is ready for his role as a legend, wearing a red Sgt. Pepper's-esque jacket, a bandana, and unmistakably John Lennon-inspired glasses. His band and a full orchestra, including a conductor, play in the background. The backup singers sway Video Vixen style in the shadows. I can hear the refrain when describing Axl's over-the-top glamour, an ode to an icon in this opening scene. This song had a huge impact on me as a child. It wasn't just me who was affected. An entire culture bowed down to the brilliance of this song and the accompanying video. Very few things have the same cultural resonance. To give you a quick example of how this video permeated the landscape and reached across the aisle, so to speak, Sofia Coppola attempted to purchase the storyboards for this video, and an unnamed Republican president considers it the best of all time. Both tidbits were mentioned in a 2022 Los Angeles Times article written about the video for its 30th anniversary. It was the absolute pinnacle of MTV monoculture in 1992, and the height of Guns N' Roses' fame, which is apparent given that the paper of record, at least here in Hollywood, devoted page space to the video's 30th anniversary. November Rain has become a defining piece of American pop culture. A shot of Slash outside of a white church, surrounded by a sparse picket fence and an endless desert landscape, fills the screen. He is dressed in denim, black cowboy boots, a black motorcycle jacket, a giant silver cross necklace, and his guitar strapped to his body like an appendage. This guitar solo lives in the hearts and minds of almost all Americans, even if it's unknown to them. I wouldn't be surprised if it were enshrined in the Constitution somewhere. It's perfect sonically and visually. The church itself is a prop. So is the white picket fence, which feels more apt than if it were a real location. After all, this is the American West, and rock and roll dreams, just like gold, love, and fame, are fleeting and often false. The location is just off Highway 41 in Galisteo, New Mexico, which adds a layer of loneliness to the reality of all the previously listed pursuits. It's rugged independence encapsulated. A gorgeous Stephanie Seymour walks down the aisle in one of the most iconic wedding dresses of all time. The famous dress, designed by Carmela Sutera, features a mini-skirt front, a long cathedral train back with bustle-style hips, a sweetheart neckline, crinoline puff sleeves, and bows adorning the shoulders. I don't believe I have ever met a woman who didn't want to get married in this dress, even if she didn't want to get married. Stephanie Seymour herself regrets not keeping it. She has negative things to say about her time with Axl, but she remembers the dress fondly. The mystery of what happened to it further deepens the lore of the video and song. Stephanie pairs this perfect marital confection with the 1960s does 1990s bowed veil. It's a flat, chic bow a la Audrey Hepburn, adorning a traditional voluminous veil. Her hair is pulled back, and her makeup is understated, signaling her sophistication and giving off fully formed adult woman airs. She is a supermodel, not a child bride. Which is ironic because Erin Everly was a child bride, of sorts. The best-known GNR reference to Erin is the song Sweet Child O' Mine, in which she is featured in the video. Being that Axl was a child himself at the time, it's fair to dismiss the child bride tropes typically associated with predatory types and refer to the couple as a pair of kids. In one of my favorite sweet and silly scenes of the video, Slash misplaces the ring as the couple exchanges vows. Duff saves the day by presenting the wedding ring on his pinky finger, over his black motorcycle gloves. Duff was and remains one of the more lovable members of the band. Made into a caricature by pop culture, most notably the Simpsons Duff brand beer was named after him and his chronic alcoholism. Duff eventually got sober after his appendix burst. His sobriety tale should be taught in NA and AA. It's truly inspirational. He wrote a book about it called It's So Easy and Other Lies, which I recommend if you're interested in the Pacific Northwest punk scene of the early 80s, the Sunset Strip in the mid-80s, cocaine-fueled alcoholism, and or cycling as a means to sobriety. After the couple wed, they enjoy their lavish reception. Stephanie is dressed in a black body-hugging dress, again signaling her level of sophistication and her supermodel stature. The party is attended by Ricky Rackman and an assortment of rock and roll types. Rain hits hard, November rain, ruining the reception and portending a tragedy to this once sweet love affair. Back in the same church where Stephanie stood in that fantastic dress, she now lies dead in a half-mirrored coffin. The mirror on the left side of her face is an indication that this beautiful woman's face is too ruined to witness. In the short story Without You by Del James, the woman shot herself after being tortured by a hit song written by her former lover, detailing their doomed romance. At the funeral, Axl's cross necklace is worn upside down, indicating the complete loss of faith he previously had found in her. Trapped in his blue-hued bedroom, which seems to be colored by his mood, he is haunted by her. The video ends with her white rose bouquet lying on her coffin, running red with blood. The Don't Cry video premiered before November Rain, in October of 1991. It is the prequel to the epic orchestral funeral romp that is November Rain. The song itself is my favorite Guns N' Roses song, and that's with a full understanding that the double album it is on, Use Your Illusion, is nowhere near the musical pinnacle that Appetite for Destruction, the band's 1987 album, is. The reason Illusion has the staying power it does is the visuals of these videos. Don't Cry opens with a blue-eyed baby representing Axl in all his past and future iterations. One of those past selves trudges through a blizzard in an American Revolution-era uniform. Only this is a red coat with a bottle of Jack and a gun, perhaps indicating he is a traitor to himself, because what is more American than Axl fucking Rose? Present-day Axl holds a gun to his temple. His girlfriend in the video, and after meeting and falling in love on this shoot, his girlfriend in real life, Stephanie Seymour, wrestles him for the gun. She ends up with the gun in hand, being slammed up against the wall in a scene that takes full advantage of the hot girl with a gun look in all of its exploitative yet very commercial appeal. The lighting and coloring of this scene is something that no illegally purchased incandescent bulb can imitate. It's warm, it's rich, and it's soft. Stephanie looks like she walked right out of the desert gas station Pepsi commercials starring fellow supermodel Cindy Crawford. She is wearing a similar white leotard top, blue jeans, and a belt as her contemporary was. Her lips are heavily lined with a mocha-hued liner that is so of the moment, it might as well be a date circled on a calendar. Although, that may be understating the aesthetic's staying power, especially when adapted for the current day by a fashion icon married to a troubled singer, Hailey Bieber, who has captured the model-to-rock star ratio for the new millennium. She has made her brand and her fortune off of modernizing this particular look. A portrait of a picnic at what appears to be the Hollywood Forever Cemetery becomes a live-action memory. Axel catches a glimpse of Stephanie passing by in a limo, pretending his death, unlike November Rain, which saw Stephanie dead. In the short story that November Rain and the trilogy is based on, Maine, or rather Axel, dies in a house fire that engulfs him and his piano while he is playing the song he wrote for his dead wife, the same song that drove her to suicide. I am starting to understand where my vision of true love formed and why I continue to confuse masochism with romance. It turns out, fate doesn't just start at birth, it gets shaped by MTV and Axl Rose at around age 8. There are interspersed live rooftop performance shots throughout the video featuring Axl's classic stagecraft, consisting of him running to the edge of the stage at full speed. That action hits different, or rather the consequences could, on a high-rise rooftop. In these shots, you can see a Where's Izzy sign. Around this time, Izzy Stratton, original GNR member and Axl's childhood friend, left the band. He was uninterested in the heights of fame they had achieved, and much like everyone, was dealing with a crippling drug problem. It's worth noting that he spends his time skateboarding in the Ojai area now and is very happy. Stephanie remembers a time she discovered Axl teaching an extraordinarily hot blonde how to play the piano. Billed as Girl at the Piano on IMDb, she is model/actress Dylan Tays. In this low-lit, gilded bar, Steph beats the hell out of Dylan, who is wearing a black tank top version of Steph's white one, an elaborately 90s cross necklace. The crowd eggs her on, but does nothing because, after all, this is 1991, and a catfight is one step away from lesbian porn, which just so happens to be Pornhub's #1 search in America. So I guess we really haven't come that far. I would argue that now Stephanie, or rather her character, would be shamed for hitting the other woman, as if she is doubly to blame for her fury. That is 100% his responsibility. It's difficult to put the blame on the man in the room when he refuses to take it. The blondes usually take the brunt of the beating. Carrying the death to blondes and female rage theme a step further, Slash purposely drives his car over a desert cliff with his girlfriend, played by Bridie Grounds, and himself in tow. They die, but Slash's angel comes back to do a literal killer guitar solo. The straightforward poetry is appreciated by this angry blonde. In another scene depicting the transparent expectations of gender roles in modern society, Stephanie plays Axl's psychiatrist. It's very important to mention the cotton blend bike shorts with roses on them that Axl wears in this scene. They are absolutely iconic, and like the November Rain wedding dress, should be in a museum in a permanent exhibition entitled Rainbow Room Americana. Steph's outfit is less memorable than his by design. In the 90s, women had transitioned from playing mother to their man to a more professional type of caretaker, a shrink. Or we are at risk of ending up like the crazy blonde that Slash pulled a murder-suicide on just to escape from. She was a badass. I guess I would rather be dead than be of service to a man. Stephanie's hair is curled in what I can only think is a direct reference to Erin's wild and gorgeous wavy hair. Despite the curly hair homage, hiring a supermodel to play your ex-wife in a music video about comforting her, and then starting to date that supermodel on the set of said music video is pretty cold, especially when that song is part of a trilogy based on a short story written about Erin and Axel in which the wife kills herself because of a song he wrote for her. It couldn't have felt very good for Stephanie either. As I alluded to earlier, the expectation that other women stay away from your man isn't about hating women. It's about believing they ought to have your back because we know men won't. That explains Steph's little beating of the hot blonde at the piano. And if I were Erin, it would also create a lot of anger in me towards both Axel and Stephanie for these videos. The public nature of all this makes my heart bleed for Erin. Not that she needs my sympathy, but it's worth re-examining the way she has been looked over and essentially uncredited as Axel's primary muse. There is a Lana Del Rey line from Blue Bannisters that says, "You can't be happy and be a muse too." She is also a diehard GNR fan, and I expect a supporter of Erin Everly too. The video ends with an image of Axel's grave, not Stephanie's, and the image of the baby boy, this time with green eyes instead of blue, in what I can only assume is a nod to past lives, repeated struggles, and the slight transformative power of a broken heart. Estranged, the third video in the trilogy, came out on December 13th, 1993. It opens with a favorite trick of MFA student writers, a definition. The word illusion and its definition flash on the screen, referencing the double album Use Your Illusion that gave us this trilogy of videos. Then a tires swing transitions to a SWAT-like raid into Axel's home, where he hides out above a closet in a bunk space. The helicopters and full riot gear place this firmly here at home in LA, or in Axel's case, Malibu, still LA County but not LA City. He lies up in this enclave space near the ceiling in the fetal position, going in and out of consciousness, having one childhood flashback after another. In Del James's short story Without You, the character, Maine, who is based on Axel, moves through time with the help of photo albums, remembering his dead wife and his lost opportunity at love. The pictures, as portals to the past, are the primary narrative tool throughout the three videos. That, and a loose suggestion of repeating storylines in past and future lives. A great example is casting a woman you begin dating in these videos about a woman you were married to. By the time Estranged was made, Stephanie and Axel had broken up. So instead of featuring her or another beautiful woman, Axel went with dolphins. Actual dolphins. The choice transcends absurdity and becomes a hallmark of 1993. Look out, Lisa Frank. Here comes Axel with a broken heart and a love for sea mammals. I think that the intention behind the dolphins is the symbol of transformation and moving through lifelong grief. It has a surreal quality that mirrors the level of fame a scrappy Sunset Strip band had achieved in 8 years. As proof of their success, there is interspersed footage of sold-out stadium shows and a nighttime rooftop performance that couldn't be more LA if it took flight like the angels the city is named for. Axel is wearing a Charles Manson shirt and short shorts, and is hunted by helicopters as he recklessly runs to the edge of the roof before stopping short. The suggestion of suicide on parade feels less Manson and more Monroe to me. Either way, it's very LA. Meanwhile, at Axel or his ex-wife's palatial Malibu estate, he is escorted into the premises by police. Axel is wearing all white except for the pop of red on his red and white Air Jordans, which are so hot I could scream. I need this look in my life. In a not-so-subtle comparison to Christ, we see a giant crucifix hanging on the wall in the background on his way out of the home. He climbs into an all-white limo with a chrome dolphin affixed to it as an enduring symbol of freedom and transformation post his separation, or as the song is aptly titled and then defined on screen in the second definition we are privy to, estranged. There is a scene with an airport hangar and then an oil tanker, but my favorite is when Axel is standing on the Sunset Strip smoking a cigarette in front of a barred window of TVs on display near the Rainbow Room. The TVs are playing dolphin imagery. Sunset Boulevard turns into dolphin-populated waters, and a dolphin billboard hangs over the Rainbow Room entrance. Slash floats out of the bar and does a guitar solo down the Dolphin Street in a video game style sequence that never left my mind after the first time I saw it. Slash's solo follows Axel's suicidal jump off the tall ship into the choppy waters of the Pacific Ocean. He ignores 2 rescue attempts and allows the dolphins to take him. Axel was in regression therapy at this time, heavily into past lives and facing his demons, including his relationship with women. Born of an allegedly unloving mother who did not stop his stepfather from beating him and his birth father from molesting him. Even the type of therapy and his willingness to speak about the details of it are firmly of this era. Similar to Axel's devotion to doing his own inner work at this time, I chose to do this episode for my 40th birthday to remember who I was as a child and how those pieces of me are woven into the American identity. It doesn't surprise me that November Rain's fandom spans the political spectrum, or that the iconography of Stephanie Seymour's wedding dress remains a steadfast example of a rock and roll wedding done right. It is also sadly predictable that the woman who inspired the emotion of the trilogy is much forgotten now. Let's remember her, Slash's guitar solo, the Rainbow Room in all of its glory, and the joy of a Diet Coke in a can, with or without the handle of Jack Daniels and the cigarette that accompanies it. Thank you for listening to Window Dressing's MTV Summer Series, GNR Edition. As I said up top, this episode is dedicated to Erin Everly, who now lives a private life, hopefully retaining all the magic she inspired. I will be back with more episodes in this short series in the coming weeks. Please like and subscribe to this podcast wherever you are listening, and follow me on Instagram at Window Dressing Podcast for more content. I'm Madeline Jane Auble.